how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Where's the other, baby?
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
Welcome into another Red Out Podcast. I'm Jake.
Hey, Devin in the house. And the random vibration you may have heard, maybe Jared.
Hey, hello. Greetings.
The music man. The music man, Jared. And we got Ross.
Hey, guys.
Who is Ross?
Who is Ross? There's nothing. Is there nothing distinct about Ross that we can?
I mean, he's
the real Ross.
He's the real Ross. That's right.
Yeah.
With the real Ross. Please stand up. So I guess we'll just go ahead and start off winners and losers. As Jared is so excited about, the Patriots won.
That's right. Yep. Jared's really excited about that.
And
Tom Brady is the top of my list.
The top of the list.
Yes.
He's the devil.
Foosball's the devil.
I have seen so many memes with Tom Brady. It cracks me up. They're great. I'm sorry. They're just
He's the winner. Man. He's the winner. He's the man.
Yeah, he is. I mean, there's no arguing.
His offensive line is the man. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, but still. I mean, I saw him step up in the pocket like 6 or 7 times, and he's, 42 years old?
41.
Takes a little bit. Yeah, it takes a little bit of skill. Can't just put it all on Kansas City's defense.
No, I mean,
But you can put it on their defensive coordinator who Tony Romo got fired.
Just so you know, I love all the memes with Bill Belichick as the new maintenance guy at whatever team they're playing the next week.
Yeah.
Greatest memes ever. But
I don't know what's happening to your headsets, boys.
my biggest gripe is the NFL's overtime rules. I think that's universal across everything. Their justification is they don't want the players to get too tired, which is BS. Okay, the real reason is that they're wasting their money because if, for instance, if team or game A goes over, it cuts into game B, and people get mad and they lose money. Granted, but when it's playoff time, we've got to have a legitimate finish to a game. Instead of a team marching down the field and kicking a field goal.
Dude, I heard the best solution, or saw the best solution on Twitter.
Okay.
Jared Stillman, formerly of ESPN Louisville, who now has a show in Nashville, J-Bone, his solution was, what you do is each team chooses the yard line they would like the ball to go to, where they would start, right?
Okay.
But whoever's closest, whoever's in the better position, gets the ball second. So let's say that you put yourself on the 1 yard line.
Okay.
You do not get the ball first.
Obviously.
So the other people, if they beat you, get the ball first.
Okay.
And then they get the shot. And if you stop it, then you start on the one. And if you both pick, let's say the 1 yard line, then it goes to the coin flip.
I think that's ridiculous. But
I think it'd be wild.
I think that's ridiculous. But I mean,
I've got something about the overtime that probably people don't. The overreaction doesn't realize.
Okay.
I saw a good stat on Twitter. Rosdeutscher, NFL analyst. The overtime coin toss winning percentage between the two football sports. NFL, 52.7%. The person who wins the coin toss wins the game. College football, 54.9%.
Wow.
So regardless of perception, actually whoever wins the coin toss has a better chance to win in football. So I'll put a lot of that on. The Chiefs, you had a 3rd and long 3 times, and you had Brady just pick you apart on 3rd and long each time.
Yep.
I mean, you could have done what the Rams did against Breeze, and besides getting screwed over in regulation, they picked him off and won the game. That's all you had to do. So I don't have any sympathy for the Chiefs.
My thing is with the Rams. Granted, that's pass interference, but I don't necessarily see the helmet to helmet. Because he led with his hands, so I don't know if there was necessarily contact there as far as helmet-to-helmet contact goes.
I don't care. Don't get in that situation.
That would be the biggest loser, by the way.
Sorry, what'd you say, Jared?
I said it was, but it was like on the side of the helmet.
Yeah, but
like the sides of the helmets hitting each other.
I think the greatest response is that the player, they did an interview with him after the game, and he's like, "Yeah, I did it," and it's like, Well, I mean, what are you going to do after the fact? But
Do you guys see where the Saints are gonna I saw a thing where some bars in New Orleans aren't gonna play the Super Bowl. They're gonna play a repeat of the Saints' victory at the Super Bowl. And I was like,
that is the biggest crybaby
I
thing
think
I've
Fletch
ever heard.
retweeted it as I was walking out of work.
That's
I
even
saw
more
it.
petty than something I would do, and that is very impressive.
That
so
is
good.
very impressive.
I was like, the tweet was like, "Yeah, this is healthy, and I'm sure everyone's adjusting just fine."
I have
I agree with that tweet.
I have seen memes. There was a meme in Minnesota where a road crew put on their big sign across the road, Crimea River, New Orleans, which is great. I love that.
Yeah, they hate them.
But the biggest loser is the refs because they just completely screwed the pot on this one. I don't know necessarily with the Patriots game.
Well, they called that roughing the passer that happened at one point. That was literally
Yes.
just like the defensive lineman grazing his chest on accident.
Hey man, don't
And
step
that
up
was
to him. That's interference.
infuriating.
Yeah, that was I. Now that you said that, I do remember that on the Patriots one. Yeah, that was ridiculous.
They need to fix that in the off season, or no one's going to watch the sport anymore. I'll stick with college.
I agree. I think it's getting to that point where people are just so frustrated they just don't know what to do.
But honestly, so everybody talked about how the last season the ratings were so bad and it's because of the rules and nobody's watching. This year they did a rebound and it's one of the best years they've ever had. People are watching at record numbers. Like everybody talks a big game like they're not going to watch, but on Sunday afternoon people just turn that crap on.
I mean,
now to be fair, I'm not a huge consumer of the NFL.
I'm not either.
I'm just not.
I used to be when we played fantasy. That was the
Fantasy
one
was
time
the
I
thing
did,
that
but-
made me watch the NFL. That and the Niners being relevant.
Yeah, they're not relevant anymore.
No, they are not. Jimmy G popped that knee, and I was like, "No, Adonis, you pretty man." We suck again.
Yeah. We suck again.
Yep.
So, speaking of football, the new schedule was released.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. We're a little late.
It's basketball season. What do you want?
Yeah, we're excited about basketball.
I'm so excited about
Yay!
Ross,
Yay, Ross. So, just kind of recap the schedule. We've got Central Arkansas, FIU, Louisville, UAB, Old Dominion, Army, Charlotte, Marshall, Florida Atlantic, Arkansas, Southern Miss, and we finish up with MTSU.
As it should be.
Which I'm completely fine with. Before the show started, we asked how you get a purple bear. You choke a bear until they turn purple.
Yeah.
That's the man way to do it.
Or get a roundhouse kick from Chuck Norris.
Exactly.
But none of us can do that because we're not Chuck Norris.
No, God no.
There
There is a bear that lives in Chuck Norris's house. It is not dead. It's just scared to move. Greatest joke ever. So Jared, since you wrote a piece covering this in the Tower Rack, what are your thoughts as far as the schedule goes?
It's definitely not the best draw that they could get in kind of what's going to be a rebuilding year with new head coach and implementing a new offensive system. They have some good games like at Arkansas. Arkansas had a very subpar year last year, but if they can go back to what they're supposed to be as an SEC school, they're supposed to be SEC as always, but we'll see what they do next year. Of course, the neutral game in Nissan Stadium in Nashville against Louisville, Satterley, seeing what he's going to do with Louisville. That's very up in the air to see what that's going to look like for next year. I still think it's a winnable game for us. I hope so, but just looking at everything in general, I would say the basement would be at least 4 wins, which you would want more than that. I would like the habitable zone is what I called it in the article, is from 5 to 7 and 7 to 5 is what I think is very feasible for this team to get. Anything more than that would be very surprising to me. Obviously I would love it, but I just don't really see it happen. I think if they can get back to being bowl eligible, I think that'd be a really good feat to have. But even if they went 1-3 in the non-conference and 4-4 in conference play, that's 5 and 7. That's not too bad. I could live with that if it happens. But 5 to 7 to 7 and 5 is what I would say for next year.
Okay, so you're 5 and 7, 7 to 5. What do you say we are after the first 6 games?
After the first 6, I would probably, I might say 3 and 3 at best, probably 2 and 4.
Okay, I'll go for that. So you're obviously saying that Central Arkansas is probably a win.
Kind of hope so.
Well, after last year, I don't think any FCS school that we play is the guaranteed win anymore. But you would assume that would get fixed and that we would win that.
Yeah,
Burn it down.
Yeah, I feel like the first 3 games were at least 1-3.
Yeah, that's definitely fair.
Well, here's
4
my
games.
thing.
Yeah, I can't count.
UAB lost about 25 seniors off last year's team.
Wow.
They are probably our swing game of that first 6. You look at the first 6. You've got Central Arkansas should be winning at FIU, who won I think 10 games last year. Returns probably the best quarterback in the league. That's going to be a really tough game in Miami. Early season, their fans might actually care. So that's a probable loss. Louisville is, they're still a Power 5 school, and until, after we choked it down against our worst team in 20 years last year, I would say that and the Old Dominion games are the real key if we want to have a bowl-eligible season. Early, anyway.
As usual, I completely agree. I think FIU in September is going to be hot. It's going to be hot as you-know-what. And I think that's going to be a factor as far as playing because the guys are not going to be ready for that kind of heat.
Dude, I hate Miami.
I do too. FIU is kind of the exception because FIU, they have great Cuban music playing for pregame, which is hilarious.
Do the dancers do like the Victor Cruz?
I never get to see them. I never got to see them because all I could do was hear them. But it was great.
I'm now just imagining, like, in part of their warm-ups, they're doing, like, choreographed, like, salsa dancing.
Yes. That
would be amazing.
Salsa dancing down through there.
That just, like, kind of sort of salsa
I went
dance
to
in his chair.
the 2015 game there at FIU, and, when you think of Miami and, South Beach, this is the complete opposite of what you think. It's by the airport. It's literally just, it's a giant commuter school. There's some palm trees around the campus, but it's basic city for the whole thing. Man.
That's what
it's like, how did this school get a Division I football team? I don't know.
Well, it's wild because that's what I was saying when I did my article about looking at the school. They have a crap ton of students, but only 6% of them live on or around campus, like in campus-sponsored housing, and it seriously looks like they took a bunch of just terrible old hotels and turned them into buildings, and then put a bunch of parking structures up. And it's like, man, this is just an absolute, trash hole of a place. Why is this? This is Miami, man. What are you guys doing? It's like, oh, you're actually in Miami, and you don't actually represent Miami. Got it.
Yeah, but it's more like the register side of Miami. If I had to put it into a
registry,
like the registry at Western, because it's
sketch.
It's by the airport. It's not glamorous. Yeah, it's
by the airport. It's like a Sheridan, dive bar, and then FIU.
And another game I kind of want to touch on just real quick, the Army game. First off, I know with Navy, those dudes are just bosses. They practice.
Army's what Navy was 3 years ago.
Yeah, they've kind of switched roles now.
So Army, typically when we played Navy, Navy's practice was from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Then they went and did PT. I'm like, dude, these guys are boss.
Well, that's one of the reasons that they used to not be able to get great players is because not only are you doing football, but you're also doing all of the other West Pointy crap that you have to deal with. And no South Florida athletes want to go deal with that. Nope. Why would you do that and PT and have to walk the line and maintain a GPA? That's just, and, be in the middle. That's all done.
I agree. Now, looking at the second half of the season, Charlotte, Marshall, Florida Atlantic, Arkansas, Southern Miss, and MTSU. The biggest game I worry about is Arkansas because they're supposed to be SEC, but I don't know if necessarily they're going to live up to their hype.
You're not worried about the Fighting Lane Kiffins?
The Lane Kiffins are. They would probably be Tier 2, but Arkansas is kind of gone tier.
Everybody, too, in my opinion. And they lost both their running backs. He's got a rebuilding situation. We'll see how many transfers he brings in. I would say, if I had from ranking this, I would say if you wanted to rank the hardest, Arkansas, Marshall, and Southern Miss, and then the other 3 on the schedule. So
Arkansas. Now
Marshall.
Go for Marshall. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was just catching up.
All the road games.
Yes.
Middle loses Brent Stockstill, so we'll see if Rick finally gets fired after this year. They've lost 5 games minimum with a probably once in a generation quarterback, which still cracks me up.
Which is really funny though is that so Florida Atlantic's players graduated or do they get parole?
Yes.
I think 2 of them went to the NFL, but yeah.
Okay. Just checking. I mean, Kiffin's convicts, just for those who are a little slower like me. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, Jared. I think 7-5, a 5-7 to a 7-5 is very plausible for this team. It's kind of a stretch, but I think some of these games are very winnable. With Florida Atlantic being a rebuilding year for them as well. I think Arkansas could be a game that we go down there and steal it, depending on how everybody's clicking at that point in the year. And I'd love to smash the Mutts. I just hate the straight biddies as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to go ahead and transition just real quick. I mean, and I hate this because we haven't talked about them at all this year, but the Lady Tops, they're on a 6-game winning streak. Have you all even noticed this?
Yeah, I mean, they've come out hot in conference play. I mean, having that tougher non-conference has really helped them a lot.
Oh my gosh, they're tied. Well, okay. What I saw earlier was they were tied for first in Conference USA. Now they're second, according to my little ESPN app here. Excuse me. But I mean, they started out playing Union. That's Tennessee Bulldogs, beating them by 8, 77-65. Charlotte 76-58, which that defense has got to be killer. ODU, Marshall, FIU, and FAU all fell to the tops. So what do you all think about the ladies so far this year?
It's definitely a lot bigger improvement from what was happening in the non-conference. They were losing a lot of games that were pretty tough. I mean, granted, they had Louisville, they had Notre Dame, they had a lot of really tough teams. But I think that pays off, and it's showing at this point. They finally kind of got to where they need to be at, and at least I hope they keep the momentum going. I think they can, but we'll see. It's definitely a good start.
I think this is a definite. Tournament team this year. I think they could actually pull it out and go to the tournament. I don't know how far they'll make it.
We always seem to get hosed in the first round.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. We just seem to draw people.
We always get like the 16, 15 seed, and it's like, really?
Well, I can't remember when they went last time. I can't remember who they. I want to say it was Oklahoma State they played. Who was it they played last?
It was Oregon State.
Oregon State. I know it was an O.
The Lady Beavers, yeah.
Lady Beavers. That's right.
The other OSU that is also orange.
Yeah.
It's just like what was that, Valparaiso?
Valpo. Valpo's good.
I think it looked like they had a little bit between schedule and coaching transition, a little bit of a learning period, and then now that they go to the friendly confines of Conference USA, they're taking off. They got 2 Egyptian ladies who are just killing it. Obviously, what's her El Degway, or how do you pronounce it? Raneem. Who was
I was just going to stick with the
year.
first name because Raneem's easier.
6'4", and then they've got another one I'm not even going to try to pronounce, from Cairo. She's a guard, and they're killing it, man. It's good to see, and I guess Matt McKay, the Lady Tops expert, will be screaming and doing our Twitter on the towel rack for that. So
yes, he will
keep
probably
it
be
rolling.
He'll probably be screaming at us because we're messing their names up.
Because we can't pronounce their names. No, early season, everybody was like, "Oh, do we make a mistake? It's Greg Collins." Good. It's like, listen, y'all look at this schedule, and it's a coaching change. Like, can everybody calm down now? So everybody happy now? Everybody happy with Mr. Collins? Like,
okay, so there are 3 names I cannot pronounce on this team.
The 2 from Egypt and the 1 from Senegal.
Senegal was the one. Where's the other Egyptian? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, Miral? Is that right?
Meryl.
Meryl.
Like the Pokemon.
And Myra, Nudel Haywed. Oh, that's from Illinois. Sorry, girl.
Nice.
Okay, and then
from Edwardsville, Illinois.
Sorry, yeah.
Her last name is her last name is Nudel Haywood. Like, that's not that big.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
She might as well be from Scottsdale.
Okay. Yes.
Woo,
exactly.
Scotts Vegas.
Yes. Why can't everybody be named like the girl from Harvest, Alabama, Terry Smith? I can pronounce that. Now, I probably did not, and I'm sorry, girls. But y'all are doing awesome.
I mean, they're playing better than men are.
Yeah. Everybody likes to go for the winners. Go for the Lady Tops. Show up for those girls. I have no idea what that was.
Just random noises, loud noises.
Yes, I have a random Facebook thing. But I think some teams to look out for Western, they have to play MTSU. I had that pulled up. Let's see.
Devin has lost his...
No, I didn't put dates on my notes. The last game of the year, they played the Mutts.
Yeah.
And that is at home.
As it should be.
So they got to go straight biddies and beat them. Then we got Rice. Oh, actually, we actually play the Mutts at Murfreesboro on Valentine's Day. Sorry, and then we got them last game of the year.
What a disappointing day to be in Murfreesboro. Like that's such a disappointing Valentine's Day. Like you have to go straight biddies. Like come on.
Yep, straight
that's
biddies.
Awful.
But it would be great biddies if they beat them. So
on Valentine's Day,
yes.
That's true.
And then we got Rice, who's actually 5-0. And then you got UAB.
The Rice is real good.
Yes. Rice's women, we played them on the 7th of February. That looks like the only one. And then UAB, we got them on the 16th. So it's all good. Okay, sorry. Just making sure we're still connected to all the guys.
Make sure we got everybody.
Yes.
Because it's crickets. Like,
yeah, there was just like no sound, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, did I lose everybody?
You good?
No, okay. But I think the rest of their season looks pretty good. I think listeners, if you would just show up for them, hey, if there's a double, stay for the ladies. Show up a little early, go up for the ladies. I really appreciate your support.
They're the more consistent team right now.
Oh my gosh, they're great right now. And I guess sadder note, we'll talk about the guys.
Yeah, enough about that team that keeps winning and is real consistent. Let's go to that one that's wild. We don't know what the heck they're going to do from game to game.
And I think it's a maturity issue, partly. We will go into the mailbag, so those listeners who are really excited about that, we will go into that at the end of this when we get done talking. But how about these last 3 games? None of us predicted FIU to beat Western.
Ugh.
Which is god-awful.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Jared and I both predicted FAU.
Yeah.
Which we won, which I was fine with. I'm completely fine with being wrong. When I predict us to lose, I would rather be wrong 99 times.
Yeah.
But, and we beat Marshall.
Thank God. Thank God.
That was beautiful.
Yes, it was. And we got to beat them. We got them again, don't we? No.
We might.
We get them if we finish in the top 5 of the, before. So we could play them 2 more times, technically.
Like, the whole new conference thing is still so weird. Because imagine this. Like, if we draw Marshall again after the latter part, if we're in the top half and they are too, like, that's the 3rd time we play. And then it's possible we could play them in the conference tournament again. So we could end up playing the same team 4 times in one season. Which I don't know if that's ever happened in any other conference, but that's possible for us.
It's messing with me because, like, I'll look at the schedule and I'm like going through, okay, how many conference wins are we going to have? And it's like 4 games, 4 Conference USA games. Like, oh, yeah, I can't look at those yet because we don't know.
Exactly. I mean, it's so depressing.
A buddy at work was asking me, he's like, so what's up with y'all's conference? What are you doing? And I was like, we're trying to get better strength of schedule. That's what we're trying to do.
Which is not going to help anything.
Well, the way the conference is, it's like, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, is it more round robin style?
It was a good idea, but unfortunately, teams like us didn't hold up our end of the bargain. With,
yeah.
Like a 13 or 10-3 non-conference or something like that. So,
but no, Devin, to answer kind of your question there, essentially what it's doing is it's going to separate out in the second half, and the good teams are going to play the good teams.
Yes.
So we might play like a Marshall.
So I understand that part, but so do we draw to see who we have, like first game? Is it still playoff style?
You get in the top 5, and then you do 2 home games and 2 away games against the other 4 teams in the top 5.
So it is more like a round robin with the top 5, bottom 5. Okay. Which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Quadrants or something. There's 14 teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Really, I just
like Ross said, it's a really good idea when the best teams in the conference are performing at their best, and they're getting.
Middle last year could have really used this. We could have used this if we would have, lost a couple less games. It's just, this year didn't work out.
Yeah, there's not enough. Like, North Texas record is gaudy, but they didn't play anyone, so it's not going to super duper help them. And then, like, again, with us, like, we have so many poor losses, just like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to help your strength of schedule to play the number, 81st net team again. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I have no
But
idea.
it might help with seeding in the NCAA tournament. It might be able to pump up a seed or two for like a us or North Texas or something like that. Where that might erode your computer score 10 points. Where if you were playing a UTEP twice, that just automatically brings your numbers down. So maybe that might help out from the back end too. So.
Yeah, I mean, like
good
I said,
idea, it just didn't work out.
Yep, I like that. I like the idea when they first came out with it. It just had better teams.
Yeah, I mean, if our team was better, if Western was better this year, we would be all for it. We'd be going down, oh, this is amazing.
I do like the change, and I think you'll probably see more, depending on how it goes with this conference, you'll see more group of fives that might not necessarily be top, like super duper, basketball heavy or have multi-bids, go into something like this.
So, as we were talking about, FIU edged Western 77-76. FAU beat, I know, right? We beat FAU 72-66, and we beat Marshall 68-59, which, by the way, has anybody kept Marshall below, besides Virginia?
Not really.
No.
That's great,
No.
defensively.
One of the
They were
best.
throwing up a ton of bricks in the first half, though. Like, I think they went, without making their first, 11 threes. Like, they were 0 for 11 at one point to start the game. But then, right at the end of the second half, they made 3 in a row, and they had all this momentum that kept going into the second half, where Elmore by himself had 3 in a row. So they started to make up for all the missed shots that they had at the first, which is what made them get back in this game to begin with. Because if they would have still been that flat in the second, this wouldn't have even been a contest. Because, D'Antoni, he does kind of run an NBA-style system, run down to try to get a good 3 and then repeat the process endlessly. Like, he takes a ton of threes per game. So, that's not really surprising to see from him.
I'm going to be happy when Elmore's gone. I'm going to be happy not to see him no more. I do not... my least favorite player archetype is the kind of John Elmore, kind of preppy, white, three-point shooting guard. Those dudes annoy me to no end. Think the Christian Leitners, the Grayson Allens of the world. I can't stand
We
these
never
dudes.
have those either. So, we get Caden Dickerson, who's, or Jake Omer, who can do that every once in a while, but we never get the good one of those kind of guys anyway. So, yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, I totally recognize my hypocrisy in that I used to always say, man, I don't like when these guys play football so mean, they're so aggressive, they're like, and then Brahms got dudes straight up pile driving people, and Tyler Higbee's crushing small.
Street fight between the whistles.
Yeah, he's I still remember Tyler Higbee palming the face of a little Indiana defender and putting him into the ground, and I was like, yes, kill him!
Yeah,
and then I was like, okay, I recognize my hypocrisy. Now that it's my team, I like it, so it's okay, fair enough. If we ever get those guys in basketball, I'll change my tune.
Yeah, but my thing is, though, when it is football, though, and it is your team, you're but it's the other team, you're oh, just be nice, guys.
Yeah,
Why
right.
can't you just be nice?
I'm such a pansy when it comes to the
I know,
other
right?
team.
Can we talk about Josh Anderson's performance against Marshall? And how
Absolutely.
amazing that was.
Yes, it was.
No. I'm just kidding. Go for it. You're good.
What you saw Monday
he literally
night
took
is
over
what
the
I
game in
wanted
the
to
second
see
half.
all year.
Okay, we had you both at the same time, so one more time.
Ross, go ahead.
I was just saying, he really took over the game in the second half. It wasn't just, offensively, he, had, 4 dunks or something like that?
Yep.
But, he was hitting some, he had 2 threes, 5 steals, he was amazing. 3 rebounds, I think. It was, you could just see, he's probably the most athletic player Western's ever had in my lifetime. Not the most skilled, but the most athletic. He looks like, you can see why he was our highest rated recruit ever before this year. It's just oozing with potential, and he's just taking that next step.
So you think he's better than Courtney Lee?
Athletically, yes. Skill-wise, no.
Okay. So Jared, sorry, let's go back to your point. What were you saying, buddy?
I was saying, what you saw Monday night out of Josh Anderson is why, at the beginning, the very first time I was on y'all's podcast, I said that he was going to be the leading scorer for this year.
Yep.
He hasn't been as consistent as I wanted him to be, but, you saw Monday. That's what he's capable of. If he was able to do that every night, then, yes, that would be great. But for another reason, it just goes back to the whole
You look at his last
consistency
5
thing.
games, though, he's starting to really take a step forward. 25 against Marshall, 15 against FAU, 17 FIU, 13 Marshall, 17 in the last 5 games. No less than 13. He's hovering around that 15 to 20 mark every game. So you can see the lights coming on. He's not a volume shooter like Tavion or Savage is. So he's learning how to play within himself, and it's just amazing to watch.
Well, what's awesome too is
there are 2 things that will make Diddle Arena explode with excitement. Number 1, Josh Anderson dunk, and number 2, Jake Omer 3. Those always get everybody going crazy.
what you left out was number 2.5 or /2A, Jake Omer blocks.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yes. Sadly, Jake and I are old men, and we did not watch the Marshall game.
Well, here's the deal, and this is the thing. You know what? I'll start doing this. This is fine. Marshall game, listening along, everything's great. Things start going south. It's getting towards I'm skipping. Everything's great. Gets towards my Betty by time because I am an old man.
Yep.
Start losing. I'm like, you know what? If I stay up and keep listening, I'm gonna get upset. I'm not gonna be able to sleep. So I just went to bed. Got depressed. Went to bed. Woke up at like 3. Have a snack. Take a tinkle. And guess what? We won.
Yep.
I read the recap piece at like 3 o'clock. My wife's like, "What the crap are you doing?" I was like, "Shit, woman, I gotta read the piece."
Yes.
So I guess from now on, whether or not we have a 6 o'clock game or whatever, at halftime, I'm just gonna take a depression nap.
Yes.
Just chug a bottle of NyQuil and go to bed.
Yes,
and wake up to good news.
So
I think that's the
La
new thing.
La Tech game is at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So
Right, dude,
Jake is going to take a depression nap.
So at 5:30, I'm going to bed. I'm gonna sleep for 14 hours. I'm gonna wake up to a win. It's gonna be awesome.
You're going to wake up at 3 o'clock the next morning and read the piece on
That's
the pod.
right.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
That
gonna
works.
be great. Yeah.
So we are staring down the last 8 games here before tournament time, conference play, tournament playoff thing.
Before the bonus games, before the
bonus
top
games,
4
yeah.
Yes. So we have about 8 games left.
That we know who we're gonna play.
Yes. So how do y'all think this is going to go?
Because that's we can go ahead and move into our first question from Jack Watson, which
Sure,
is
go for
how
it.
many conference wins on Twitter? Thanks, Jack. Always comments on our stuff. We appreciate it. How many conference wins at the end of this are we going to have? I even threw in those 4 random games because even though we don't know who we're going to play, you can guess.
Yeah, we're sitting at 3-3 conference right now. So I actually went ahead and wrote some of these down. The Southern Miss, we're sitting at 55.8 on the BPI.
I think we're going to be Southern Miss.
You think so?
I think we're gonna be
Okay.
Southern.
I thought that about FIU too, but
Yeah, I know, right?
See, what I've learned is that whatever I think Western is going to do, I choose the opposite of. So they'll probably lose to Southern Miss and be Louisiana Tech. You can count on that.
I was going to say La Tech, where the BPI is at 45.4, and then UTSA, who beat North Texas,
and lost the middle.
Yeah, and lost the middle. Our
was about to say-
BPI is at 92.6.
USM also beat La Tech the other night.
Yeah, I mean, you just...
Here's how I see the next 2 games. Thursday, I'm worried about the short turnaround, but Southern Miss hasn't shown me. They lost to Charlotte. They haven't shown me anything that makes me really that worried about them. Louisiana Tech is a wild card. Certain nights they show up and they beat Wichita, who's not great this year, but they're still Wichita, and then they'll lose to Rice. But they're undefeated at home, 10-0. So I think Saturday, our schedule, the next 4 games sets up very nicely for us to be successful before we get that, next 5 games really with Rice, before we get North Texas on that crucial, Saturday game. But if we're not focused, if we're not ready to play, if we turn the ball over 20 times like we did against Marshall, we'll lose. It's just, can we see that improvement? Will Stansbury do stuff like play Bearden earlier in the game before Ben's got 4 turnovers, or do we have to wait till we're imploding, or do we want to just play from behind? Maybe that's what we got to do. I don't know. Just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah, this team does a lot better digging themselves out of the hole than actually having a big lead and sustaining it.
Because they lock down.
I think it's maturity, yeah.
They just haven't been able to lock down when they're ahead. And it's super frustrating. It's not surprising. But at the same time, it's dude, it's just get your stuff together, boys. Put the hammer down. Do not let up.
Yep.
Play with intensity like you care.
Keep your foot on their throat, etc., etc. Yeah, you can go with 1,000 cliches, and kind of like what you were saying, Ross, I feel like Western and La Tech have a lot in common by what you just said, because, they have those games where they go out and beat, the Wichitas and those, and we have those games where we went out and beat West Virginia. And
Thank God they beat Kansas the other day.
yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, exactly. And so it's like, how do you judge which team is going to show up? Is it the team that you just want to scream at and throw stuff and turn off the TV, or is it the team that goes out and beats Middle by, 9 points? Yeah, 9 points. So, or not Middle, Marshall.
And they lost to Charlotte and only scored 40 points last game they had. So
Wow.
they got a good guard, Daquan Bracey, who's been there forever. But I mean, this road trip is where I'm happy. If we had to go 2-1, I'd rather lose that first game and win the last two, so we have some momentum. If we win these next two games, we're at 4, and maybe we finally turn that corner. I know we've said that 6 times this year.
Yeah, pretty much. Literally every time we get a win streak.
Let's do it. Let's come back to this podcast in a week and say we've had 4 wins in a row, longest winning streak. We're rolling. We get a fun UTSA team after that at home, which will be rocking, and then you get an easy thing. Like, let's take that next step. Let's quit shooting ourselves in the foot. Let's quit turning the ball over. And Stansbury, please play the right line of combinations.
So, I'll ask you two. Jared, I know you were there, so it'll be a little easier to ask this question to you. What was the main factor in WKU's 22-6 run against Marshall?
They were getting some really good stops on defense. Like, Bassey started going up on Elmore, whenever he was trying to, get into the paint or anything, Elmore was, Bassey had some good blocks on him. Just our defense in general was altering some shots and contesting some threes, which they really needed to do the whole game. But that was important, and also, offensively. Another thing that we haven't actually talked about is the fact that Bearden is playing really good right now, and Benton is, he's a freshman. I think it's time for Bearden to start, just for the fact that he's the senior leader, and he's finally getting to where we all thought he would be. He's starting to pass more. He's not trying to just drive into the lane and take some crazy shot, but he's playing more selfless. And he looked really good. He was doing all the things he needed to as a point guard in that stretch, along with Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth was struggling in the first, but he came back in the second, had some good stuff. But it was Anderson's show. He was putting on a clinic. He did that in, I think, one of the other games, too, most recently at home, was just kind of taking over the second half and was doing a lot of things that were good to help the team, which I was really impressed with that stretch. It was getting down to the nitty-gritty, and, I mean, you know how this team is, but I think they do a lot better digging themselves out of a hole than having a nice, fluffy lead.
That question actually comes from Perry Swack.
Perry, Swack Daddy, that's my guy. I know him.
Well, tell him to go give Red Out a follow. I about
Yes.
tweeted back at him because I was like, hey, man,
But,
we're going to ask you a question.
yeah.
We get some follow.
Another area we did really good against Marshall. We dominated their boards.
Yep.
47-28. That's how you overcome having 21 turnovers. You just dominate the glass. I mean, Bassey 17-17. And he was tired half the game. It was very good to see him. What seemed like him having a slow game, you look at the numbers in the game, it was like, this is why he was a 5-star.
Well, not only that, but between him, Josh Anderson, even Tay to some extent, you look at these dudes kind of stat stuffing and being very active on the floor, right? Not settling for bad looks, not settling for the three, actually moving the ball like they're supposed to, which I've preached all year. Ball movement has been our... When we have good ball movement, we win. When we don't, we have 21 freaking turnovers, even though we did win that one. But still, they have got to be clean, and they've got to do more than just take dumb shots. And we've seen, like you said, Bearden playing selflessly makes the team so much better. And I know that's kind of a trite thing to say. It seems obvious. But sometimes they just don't do it.
Yeah.
I think another thing... Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good, Ross. Go ahead.
I think another thing, like what Jared was saying, defense led to offense. And we kind of were doing some hand-wringing on the group chat during the game. I mean, Stansbury's offense is that dribble drive motion offense. And if you really want to open that up and get easier looks, like if teams bog us down in the half courts where it kills us, but when we're turning the other teams over, forcing missed threes, and we can get to running and get, athletes like Bearden and Anderson and Hollingsworth all coming down the floor, that's when we really go on runs and take off. You look at all of our successes on the year, that's what happens. And then you have somebody like Bassey who cleans up the mess.
So, I'll go to another question real quick. This comes from Ken Baker. Should Stans play Banton at the 3 or 4 when Lamonte Bearden is running point? Ross, I gave it to Jared first. Ross, do you want to take that?
Yes. We said this the last 2 weeks or whatever, but Banton is a matchup nightmare size-wise, especially on a lot of these smaller Conference USA level teams. He's 6'8". Even if you play him at the 2 or the 3, he's going to be able to post up against smaller guards and forwards. But you don't have to worry about him, turning the ball over as much. You can kind of let things come to him. The only area that he really struggles in if he's not the primary ball handler is shooting, because his shots are super ugly. But you just got to hope he can do stuff in the other parts. And like I've said for weeks on end, play the hot hand between him, Savage, Bearden. The only 3 players that I think deserve minutes constantly are Baskey, Hollingsworth, and Anderson.
I actually told Jake, I was like, get him, because Jake and I were talking about that question beforehand.
Well, see, I kind of split the difference on it, right? So, the
Yes.
3 I can see, again, because of the size issue. As a matchup, we're good. Maybe it's just my personal preference, but at the 4 spot, I like a dude who's got a little more grit.
Mm-hmm.
He's not such a size nightmare at the 4, even though Conference USA dudes aren't typically 6'10" at the 4. You get some 6'6", 6'7" guys. He's a Bambi, kind of still finding his legs kind of kid. I think against a good 4, he's going to get absolutely eat. But at the 2 or 3, like you said, play the hot hand. And defensively, it's again, you got to shoot over that. You got to get around. Now, he does suffer sometimes with faster guards. Again, I think it's because he's kind of spindly. He's not really used to his speed yet. But boy is 6'8". At the 2 or 3, that is something to try to take advantage of.
Yeah, I like a 6'8" at 2 or 3 though. That's hard to pass around, and that wingspan he's got.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Yes, that would be that. Just
only he was a little stronger. When he's a freshman.
Yeah,
he's gonna get stronger, hopefully, unless he's like a Ben Lawson, never ever gains weight.
Well, he is from Canada, so he's probably being too nice.
Banton.
Yes, Banton is from
I
Canada.
thought you were saying Ben Lawson. He's British. That's not the same.
He's British. No, they're not the same. I know that. The others have whatever that French fry stuff is. So
poutine,
dude,
poutine is the stuff. That's my favorite. That's the only good thing about Canada.
Yeah. So that covers Twitter. Let me do my Romo. So we're going to take Greg Ross's question from Facebook real quick, since kind of what Ross was talking about defensive stuff. Jared, is there any possible way the Tops can play any type of defense that could possibly prevent the 3-point shot when it's glaringly obvious Marshall utilizes that particular shot selection often?
Well, he asks a question like I approach a sentence.
Yeah. He has a very illustrious way he asks his questions.
It's very long-winded.
Yes.
Why say something in 6 words when you can say it in 37?
Yes, that's like when you're writing an essay in college or high school, and you're like, you know what?
I got to hit this 2,500 words.
Yes, I've got to hit 2,500 words.
The word count.
So, Jared, what do you think, buddy?
To try to understand that question.
Okay, let me read.
It's legit.
No, please don't read it again.
No, I can summarize. I can summarize.
We can summarize
This man is my kindred spirit in the long-winded crap.
Why can Western not play good defense against 3-point?
Pretty much, yeah. Is there anything they can do to stop it?
I mean, they can adjust their defense. Stansbury was giving them a little more of a press, trying to bring the ball into the half court against Marshall, and I thought that was a little more effective. But, I mean, they still, when they did that, they left the back door wide open, and people were going straight across from the baseline and slamming it home for a dunk. So, I mean, whenever they cover the 3, they give up the back door, and when they close the back door and do more of the zone, that's when people should go 8-9, like Florida Atlantic did to start the game, it felt like, in the deep. So, I mean, I don't know. I wish there was a good answer to this, but with the team we got, I don't know what they could do best, other than trying to stick with the man-to-man or just bring more of the press, which I like the press. They just got to try to close in.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the man-to-man, I mean, I feel like if you do the press with it, you got to make sure your guys can handle as far as, staying fit enough to stay up with the other team. And I don't know if some of our guys could stay up as far as that goes.
My whole thing this year, one of the things I've been preaching is hey, try to out-athlete these other teams, because we've said we've got better athletes. We have, more talent than a lot of these guys. Now, I mean, there's some dudes that might get winded, like Omer might get winded, or
Yeah.
Banton. They may not be super fit dudes.
And Stans doesn't go to his bench very often.
No, he doesn't. He's getting better.
Yeah.
He's getting better.
I think he finally read our
Go
article.
ahead.
That's exactly what he did. He read the article and was like,
Yes.
"Oh, we've lost the towel rack. We've lost the fan base.
It's like, you know what? You guys are right. My bad.
My bad.
Moo in the
My
game.
bad.
I just feel like he's reading like Matt stats and going, man, he's right.
I hadn't thought about
I
that."
hadn't thought about that.
And then
I
he
think
yells
I
at
was
one of
good.
the assistants,
Yeah.
"Why didn't y'all think of that?"
Got the towel rack right in this stuff. Come on, guys.
They made poop jokes about Valpo. How are they getting?
I like the switching defenses that he does. I mean, it doesn't always work, but when he does, they go from that 1-3-1 to the man-to-man to the 2-3, and I think it works sometimes. It's just, like you said, some guys get tired. You can obviously tell Savage, Hollingsworth, and Bassey more than anybody get tired as the games go on. And he's got to buy some of these guys some minutes, whether it's, and then people like Tolu Smith need to stand up and actually perform, because he's really kind of underperformed the last 5 games. So,
yeah.
Well, and I think the switching defenses, like Ross just said, even though they're not always great at it, we know at this point there's no at-large. This all comes down to the conference tournament.
Yep.
It all comes down to those couple of games at the very end of the season. So, you know what? If you got to suck it up and not be great, I mean, I know you can try to get that first round bye, but if you can get to where you can switch these defenses and you can give people different looks, then it's going to pay dividends later. So I'm not opposed to getting hosed on a defensive look every now and then if it's going to make us better at the tournament, because that's all their hopes and dreams are in the tournament.
So I guess talking about kind of hopes and dreams and the rest of the thing, 1 through 10, I'll go to Ross first. What do you think the implications are going to be if Merrick Nelson is out for the rest of the season? That comes from Brett Combus Jr. I may have butchered your name, buddy. I know you're a long-time listener.
Yeah, I know Brett.
Yep, he's a long-time listener of ours and a very big critique guy, which I'm fine with. I love the...
anything to make the podcast better.
Yes, anything to help us. And apparently last week, my laptop, which is probably like 6 years old.
A 55-year-old Sony Vaio.
Yes, it should be retired. So the mic is very sensitive. So this week you may hear me playing with Legos because I always have to do something with my hands.
He's such a fidget. Hey, I like the Lego playing better than swinging a hatchet around.
Yeah. I noticed Jake's eyes get kind of crazy.
Put the hatchet down.
Yeah. I'll be sitting here just kind of like popping the button because it's over there. Somewhere.
Yeah, it's over there in some bag somewhere.
No, that's the Billy Club.
Oh, okay.
The hatchet's around here. Sorry, but no, yeah, I have to be. I don't know. Nervous tick or something. I don't know what it is, but I have to do something with my fingers. But Ross, what do you think? Yes, what do you think?
So rate the impact of Nelson being gone.
Yeah, 1
Yes.
being we don't care, 10 being burn it down.
Yep.
I'm going to put it at a 6.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of a murder to me. I think he is one of the few players that were in the rotation that didn't need to score to be productive. He's a hustle player, and he was experienced, which you can kind of tell with the drop off with Tolu Smith and Horton or whoever he throws out there. But I mean, if there was one player to lose, I mean, I think he's the one you can kind of swallow. I hope he comes back because he is a great hustle player. And before the whole marijuana incident, I think he was doing a great job in his role. But now it's just like, okay, well, just get healthy and let's return you back to form next year if that's what it takes. So,
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of time. It says he's got about 15.5 minutes average per game. So,
But you got to figure that into, is that per game played?
I don't know. It just says minutes, so I'm not sure if that's.
It may be an
it's
effective.
per game played, yeah.
Okay, I was about to say I don't want it being skewed because he's missed a couple games. For me, it was about a 5.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I told you guys at the beginning of the season, he was kind of hyped last year a little more than I thought he needed to be, and I didn't really see anything out of him. So I was like, okay, I'm not really looking for him. But then this year, like Ross said, he's a hustle player. He's one of those guys, like I was saying, out of a 4 that you need to like be a dog to actually like fight for some stuff. He's
draw charges,
right, to actually do the dirty work, right?
Yep.
And without him, you see a little bit of a softer side. You don't see as much production from, like you said, like a Moo or a Horton or whoever. It's just like, man, but at the same time, if you got to choose one of the dudes who gets a little bit of run, he's probably, because he's at that tail end, he's probably the dude you can, except for like a Horton or a Smith or like a Gambrell, like one of these guys not seen a lot of minutes.
Yeah. Jared,
Man,
what
y'all are
were
a lot nicer. Y'all are a lot nicer than I am. I'd give it a solid 3.
you three?
I mean,
You heard it here first. Jared hates
Other than
Derek.
that, if I had to choose between having Josh Anderson at the 4 or him, I'd definitely choose Anderson because you want someone a little more explosive than what Nelson was. Usually, Nelson was a quick 2 fouls and then sat the rest of the first half. So, I mean, I hope he gets better. I mean, I definitely would love to see him come back for this year and be able to rehab, come back and everything. But I mean, solid 3 for me.
Solid 3.
I'm not going to go 3 or 4. I'll probably say 5. You know, I hate it for the kid that he's hurt. It's back issues from what I've heard. I'm not quite certain if that's true or not, so don't take my word for it.
I mean, you can't ever tell.
But if he is one of those, down and dirty players, not dirty player, but, kind of does the nitty-gritty, that things that have to be done, drawing the charges, etc., then you're going to get banged up and stuff's going to happen. And if you don't have the cannabis to help you keep going, you have to do what you got to do. But I hope he gets better. I hope he does. He comes back. What is he? Is he? What's?
He's a sophomore.
Okay, so
he's definitely got time.
So he'll be back. Yeah. I hope he does fine. Hope he comes back. Because I hate it for him. But we'll see.
We need him for depth. I mean, we really do. That was supposed to be one of the strengths of this team, and it's like, I'm going to play 7 guys. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to play 8, basically, 7 to 8 guys, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Every good team has a Merrick Nelson, and they're going to be the guys. I think if you look back 10 years ago, what was the guy? Boris Siakam. That guy was a hustle player, drew charges, got rebounds. He can be our Boris Siakam one day. Maybe it's next year. I don't know, but every good team has a hustle player like Nelson.
That.
I think everybody wants to be a Boris Siakam someday.
Yeah.
His brother is really good on the Toronto Raptors.
I'm just saying that sounds like an Eastern European guy that the CIA may or may not have funneled money to in the 80s.
Yes. He was probably eating that nasty stuff that Jared wanted me to try at some point.
What is it?
Wait, what?
Yeah, don't you remember that stuff? You're like, you have got to try eating fermented herring.
No. Oh, yeah.
No, you do not want that. You crazy?
Mr. Strumming, yeah.
You can't eat strumming. You can't even.
God, no. You can't open that in our house.
I watch some dudes. They do a cooking channel. Like these British guys do this cooking channel. They're very funny. And one of their punishments was they set up a hazmat tent in their studio and had a guy had to go eat to Strowman in it. And they were like, legit, we had to air out this office for 3 days to even get the smell out. You crack that can.
Yep, and it's there. And
it's the whole house is ruined.
There was a show I used to watch, and I cannot think of the name of it, but it was Terry Bradshaw, the Fonz, what's his real name?
Henry Winkler,
William Shatner,
this is
George Foreman.
I'm on board.
George Foreman, and who was the last guy?
What did they do?
Oh, they traveled.
They just traveled around and did weird stuff?
Yes, they went to Japan, Asia, Southeast Asia, for one season, and then the next season they went to Europe. And one of the shows they had fermented herring or shishomi or whatever. Jared. Yeah. Is that what you said? How do you pronounce it again?
Yeah, it's like surströmming.
Yeah.
Sure. I just said and it sounds close.
That's right.
But yeah, that was one of the punishments. They tried to get them to eat it. And just so you know, the funniest thing on that show is that Terry Bradshaw is like a nudist. And he just walks around naked all the time, and you're just like, what the...
Dude, athletes will do that though. Pro athletes will just do that.
Of course, it's Terry Bradshaw.
He's such a cool
greatest. Dude. He is the greatest. Oh, I love it. But so
I think it's got our questions, right?
Yeah, I think that covers everything. We love your questions. Continually send those to us. I will try to remember to post those on Mondays. But if I don't, you can always DM us.
Yeah, just send us stuff.
Yeah, send us stuff. We'll be glad to try and answer those on air. Or if we have time, we'll send them to you. Whatever the case may be. So, last week we did goofy comedy shows. This week we're doing goofy comedy movies. So, I don't know who started last time, but...
I have no idea.
We will, let's say... Who had last question, Ross or Jared?
We'll just say Jared, because I don't know.
Okay, sure.
I don't remember.
I don't know. Okay.
I have CRS.
So, Jared, why don't you start us off with your favorite goofy comedy movies?
Jared has like
Lord.
14, so just get ready,
I
guys.
could.
Buckle
Honestly
up.
could. See, like, I will preface this by saying that, I mean, goofy comedy movies, there are some that are, like, actually funny. The stuff that happens in the movie is, like, unironically funny. And then there are some movies that you watch ironically, and it's, like, absolutely hilarious. So, just some, like, I'll to start, like, one of my honorable mentions. Like,
He says honorable mentions.
Yeah, like, I didn't rank them because that would be too hard. They're too
7th
good.
runner-up.
Yeah, runner-up. But the Scary Movie series is really good, especially the first 3. Like, I loved horror movies to begin with, so seeing those kind of be, like, parodied into, like, something really funny, I liked a whole lot.
Yeah.
Another movie that I thought was really funny, you'll see these two in 2 different movies, actually 3. But Borat is another classic movie.
I gotta change my list.
Yes.
My name is Borat. It's just classic. Sacha Baron Cohen, I like him a whole lot. Transitioning to that, of course, there's Talladega Nights, him and Will Ferrell, classic. I remember watching that movie. See, that's when I used to like NASCAR a whole bunch too. So I mean, that was just great.
God bless you.
Dear Lord, baby Jesus. And of course, transitioning to Will Ferrell, I still love Will Ferrell a whole lot. So Anchorman, obviously,
Anchorman.
top
Anchorman is
quality
classic.
movie. That's a really, really, really good movie. I love it a whole
where did you
lot.
get a grenade?
All right, in 3, there's 3 left for me. This will be my top 3.
Okay.
All right, Napoleon Dynamite, when it came out, oh my god.
Oh, boo.
That was when I was in 4th grade. And
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
I know, right?
It's more
4th
nostalgic than anything else up to this point. It's stupid. And like rewatching it now, I'm just like, this is like so dumb. But I mean, 4th grade me still thinks it's hilarious deep down inside.
Oh
of
my
course,
gosh.
number 2, I am ranking them now. So number 2, gotta go The Waterboy. How could I not?
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
Really, really good movie. And number 1, dramatic drum roll. I have to say, My Python Holy Grail. I absolutely love that movie so much.
Yeah.
Like, I love Monty Python, and that one is by far my favorite.
Like, I found
it's
myself...
probably one of the most quotable movies.
Yeah.
Holy Grail is one of the most quotable movies of all time.
It absolutely is.
Yes.
I'm so happy that Monty Python got to deal with Netflix.
Yes.
I don't know, Jared, if you've seen it, but Holy Grail's on there. They got a bunch of best ofs. Life of Brian and the entire series of The Flying Circus is now on Netflix.
I saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail was on there. I did not know that the others were.
All their
That's
stuff's
awesome.
on there now. Except for, I don't think The Meaning of Life is on there, but that's good, because that movie was like, they took a bunch of acid. I mean, I don't think they did, but it wouldn't have surprised me if they did, because they got some... They went way weird on that one. That was like one of their last movies. It was funny because I had to, Jared, when you were doing that, I had to like re-rack mine because you took 2 of mine, Borat and Talladega Nights. No, you're good because I got more. And you also would have stolen the Holy Grail because I freaking love that movie.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Number 3 for me, Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
I freaking love
Yes.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I know we talked about it during Christmas movie time, but still, just as a comedy, is amazing. Number 2 for me. Yeah, right. Number 2 for me is not as everybody's not super. I mean, it's not super duper popular, but I really like it. The 1,000 Ways to Die in the West.
Oh yes,
is so good. I love Seth MacFarlane's take on like a modern guy being like, "Hey, why do we do that? Wait, we're still going to use the ice?" I'm like, obviously, we're still going to use the ice. I'm not going to spoil it, but go watch the movie.
Yes. That mustache song will get stuck in your head.
Oh
yes,
my gosh.
it's so good. It's just funny. It's clever, and it's also really really stupid at the same time. So like, I love that. And then for me, my actually like favorite like goofy comedy, and my favorite comedy is a Will Ferrell movie, but it's near and dear to my heart because it's about politics. The Campaign.
Yeah, that's
The Campaign for me was just so funny. Like the scene where Zach Galifianakis is trying to get his family to tell him all the bad, naughty things they've done, and it's like, just the stuff. Like some of it I can't even repeat. But one of them, the kid goes, "I stuck a firefly up my butt," and then Zach Galifianakis goes, "What?" And the little kid goes, "So my farts would glow." And I died. I absolutely died. I thought I was going to pee my pants. I thought I was going to pee down my leg. I quoted that movie.
Oh my gosh.
That, and around the same time, Django came out. I know Django's not like purely a comedy movie, but so quotable.
Yeah,
Like-
and you could really get drunk off that movie if you took a shot every time they said the N-word.
Oh man, they went to town.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They're just sitting there going, "Yep, that was a choice that was made.
Yep.
Good
That
for
was,
you."
Yeah.
Can't quote any of this ever."
No, not with mixed company. You sure can't. Ross, I know we lost you there for a second.
And Ross
What
never went
is your top goofy comedy movies?
First, I'm going to do a quick comment on this whole category. This made me really realize, and I've had this conversation with my friends usually over beers, at least once every few months. They do not make good comedy movies anymore. Like, the last memorable comedy movie, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I would say. I would go with Step Brothers as one of my favorites. But to me, that was like the last one, and that was kind of the end of the iceberg. Like, you had that run for so many years. You had that, Old School, all those Will Ferrell movies, and then it's kind of just stopped. Like, I don't know, it's kind of sad. But Step Brothers is amazing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Step Brothers is good.
I love the
Did you touch my drum set?
I love the outtakes
I
for
got
Step
2
Brothers.
more, too, when you guys are
Yeah,
ready,
go for it.
but-
Go for it, buddy.
2 older ones that I don't know if you guys have seen these, but these are just absolute classics. Airplane.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah.
A hospital, what is it? It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now. And,
That's a great quotable movie.
One movie that definitely would never be made today, Blazing Saddles.
Oh my God! Yes.
All of Mel Brooks' entire library.
God. Actually, that just adds one for me. But yes,
Devin's about to say Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh, you suck.
Because we love that movie.
Yes, that's a great movie.
Well, bless them all until we get for Schnicken.
Yes, but no.
Okay, let's say. But what was the most recent good comedy movie that's been memorable? I mean, before we get into Devin's, like that's a serious question.
That's a good question
there's not
too.
that many.
No, there's not. I mean, there's not
There's some that are
specifically
okay,
comedies.
Like The Hangover
What was
when
the
it
one
came
where
out, I
Will
liked.
Ferrell and Kevin Get Hard was kind of funny, but nothing that was like a classic where you're gonna watch it once every year or something. I don't know.
No, I agree. Yeah, but and you said Jared said The Hangover, but The Hangover isn't recent.
10 years old.
Yeah, it's at least 10 years now. I have no idea. Jake is googling.
I'm just googling to see if I
don't even know. I don't have any idea as far as that goes. I don't know. That's a good question. I think one that I haven't seen yet, and I don't know how funny it actually is, but the previews looked hilarious. Was the Happy Time Murders?
I didn't want to see that.
You did or didn't?
I did. Yeah, I thought that looked funny.
I don't know. The whole sex scene with the Muppets in the office looked hilarious.
Probably a nightmare.
Yeah,
Probably
oh my
just
God, yes.
disturbing, but you can't help but laugh.
Yeah. So I guess while Jake's looking up comedies, because I really legitimately have no idea what would be a good comedy.
It's like I'm looking at all these. Some of them
Like within the last 6 years, I can't think of
So A Million Ways to Die in the West,
either.
I've already said I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Oh, okay. I got one.
I'm trying to find some on here. Of course, this is a terrible list. I don't even know why I'm looking at this one.
Some of these aren't just specifically comedies, though.
Yeah, some of these are terrible.
My wife loves the movie Blockers. I was not a fan.
I did
had
want-
like 2 laughs.
I did want to see that one.
Blockers isn't a bad movie. Game Night's not a bad movie either. It's just not something that I would go watch on my day off.
It was funny, but not memorable.
There was
completely
such a
agree.
good span there from like 2004 to like 2012. Like I'm sitting here looking like The Hangover, Step Brothers, Anchorman,
40-year-old virgin.
40-year-old virgin,
Team
Zack and
America.
Miri,
Yeah, those are all
Knocked
great.
Up, Wedding Crashers, like.
We're sorry. I know this is bad radio or podcast, but
I don't know.
because we're sitting here reading, trying to figure out what's a good one. I really don't have one in 2018, like a memorable one that was above and beyond. But as far as my list goes, there were some that were already mentioned, but that's fine. I guess okay. I'm going to put Deadpool on this list because it's actually a pretty funny movie. I love Deadpool.
Doesn't love that.
It's going to be at the bottom of my list, though. Probably Super Troopers would be next.
Oh, dude, Super Troopers.
I love Super
Can't wait to
Troopers.
see the sequel.
I know, I haven't seen it either. I've got it on my Apple TV, but I don't have it yet. Next one for me would probably be Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I know it was already mentioned,
But
but
still, yeah, it's so good.
classic movie. And then Robin Hood Men in Tights. Love that movie.
So
Great movie.
good.
So quotable. Achoo. No, he says sneeze. No, he goes, achoo. He goes, no, I'm not Jewish. Or whatever. It was, I was like,
One
oh
of my
my
favorite
God.
scenes is when with the German gal whose name I can't, Broomhilda,
Oh, yes.
when she gets off the horse and crushes Little John. Is there anything I can do for you? You can get off me, Little John. I'm panicked.
Great movie.
My wife
Great
was like,
movie.
you know, he was on the Disney Channel. He was like on Good Luck Charlie or whatever. I was
Really?
like, I did not know that, but funny dude.
Another thing I will point out with Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I cannot name a woman that thinks that movie's funny.
Yeah, it's a guy's thing.
It's
yeah,
a
my
guy
wife
movie.
does not like Monty
Yeah,
Python.
nobody
She thinks
likes those.
They don't have that really
My
like
wife likes
deep,
it.
meta-ironic sense of humor for some reason. At least with that movie.
Well, good job, Ross. Thanks.
I was going to say, there is
Yeah.
one, there was one. There's one exception to every rule, and I guess Ross's wife is it for Monty
There's
Python.
like some things, like some of the skits that Sarah likes, but she doesn't
Yeah.
even like my favorite Monty Python skit is the sheep. The
Okay.
flying sheep, just go look it up.
Okay.
It's like in episode 2 of their
I will-
first season.
I will have to Google it.
But
okay.
yeah, she just doesn't like the. She's like, Monty Python Holy Grail's okay. It's got some funny bits. I was like, no, that movie is awesome. And also, I can't find a freaking movie from the last 2 or 3 years that
no, I can't.
that I
either.
like. Or not that I like, but like they were really memorable comedies.
No.
Like
Not really any memorable stuff on here. My number 2 is Step Brothers.
so good.
Such a great movie. Like I said, the outtakes are probably just as funny as the movie. I love that. I mean, it's those two together is a great combination. I actually heard they did Sherlock and Holmes. That is his
Sherlock.
name, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But was it Sherlock and Watson?
I think they called it.
And they said it tanked, and it was awful.
Yeah, I heard it was so bad that people were walking out of it like halfway
Ugh.
through.
And I find that really hard to believe considering Talladega Nights, which, granted, it's a great movie. I love Talladega Nights, but there are points in that movie where I just go, oh my God.
I walked
It's
out
just
of
too
Bruno.
much, yeah.
You walked out of Bruno?
I walked out of Bruno.
I
I
wouldn't have
did.
let
I didn't try to get my money back because it's like whatever. I paid the $10.
Yeah,
I'm not that guy. But me and a couple of my buddies, absolutely. We were in high school, and when his member talked at the screen, I was like, all right, we're done. We're out. We're done.
honestly,
It's too much.
if I was you, I would have got up and walked out of that theater and walked into another one that was starting. I'd
Yeah,
been like,
right.
you know what? This is my refund right here.
Yes.
And my all-time favorite goofy comedy is Dumb and Dumber, the original.
Ooh,
First one.
good.
Gotta love that one.
Classic.
My very favorite scene is, I know I'm very childish and I don't care, is when he's pooping in the toilet and she's like, it doesn't work.
That's the best scene in the whole movie. I
That's
don't care if
the
anybody
greatest
says, fight me. That's my favorite scene.
I don't know. Another one I think is hilarious is when they kill the owl and then goes, it's like somebody died in here or something. And you're just like, oh my God. It's such a great movie.
Nice hooters you got there.
or even, I love the part where he's like, you do some of the dumbest stuff. And then you do this and completely redeem yourself. We use that at work all the time. Me and one of the guys I work with, Mike.
The hooks in that movie like that were just so good.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
Yes, it's
Those, I will
Those
say.
skis yours?
Do what?
Are those skis yours? Both of them?
both. Yeah, both of them.
Oh my gosh. The gloves. The gloves are great too.
Here,
Yes.
you have some of mine.
Yeah, you had
I'm
two
already
pair.
forgetting movies that I thought of. Like two others that deserve to be mentioned are The Longest Yard and also Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Both of those love a lot.
The longest
Tinkle.
the longest yard. Are you talking reboot or original?
Personally, with me, I like the reboot a whole lot. I don't really
I do
like the
too.
original as much, but the reboot was good.
When I was younger, I didn't know it was a reboot.
I never did either. Honestly, and then I googled it one day or something, and it popped up, and I was like,
I was like,
Burt Reynolds was in
now
that.
I get the Burt Reynolds. I was
Yes,
like, okay,
yes.
now I understand. Throwback.
Yes, I never saw the original. I had a buddy who had seen
It's
the
funny.
original. Yeah, it's a funny movie. Love it. But that's all I've got. If you haven't seen these, you should go check them out. And you all need to do your homework on South Park because we'll probably be quoting those multiple times a episode. Not safe for most shows, but we'll be okay.
We'll keep it clean.
Yes, we'll keep it clean.
Jared's been over here membering the entire time.
I remember.
Hey, Jared, I got a quick breaking news. It looks like Victor Oladipo tore up his knee. So.
Oh God, why does this happen to me?
love it.
Well,
Well,
Your poor fandom.
With that sad news, we will let you all go for tonight. So, as always, check out the Towel Rack on Twitter. Check out the articles they come out with daily. They're awesome at keeping them up and informing Western fans of Western news. Follow us right out at 1906. And as always, go Tops.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.